growth is inward before it is outward. This is a truth often ignored in a world obsessed with appearances and surface-level success. People want to be seen, to be recognized, to be praised. But very few are willing to do the quiet, often painful work beneath the surface. Just as a tree must develop deep roots before it can grow tall and weather storms, human growth begins in the unseen spaces, in solitude, in stillness, in the silence between our thoughts. Without strengthening what lies within, any external gain is unstable and temporary. Look at nature. No flower blooms without first breaking through the soil. That struggle, hidden from the eyes of the world, is not glamorous. It is slow and often lonely, but it is necessary. You must cultivate your inner life with the same patience and intention that a gardener gives to his soil. If your thoughts are chaotic, your actions will be misaligned. If your heart is full of noise, your path will be unclear. Inner clarity is not optional. It is the foundation of meaningful progress. Many chase outer validation without ever addressing their inner voids. They change jobs, cities, partners, routines, hoping that one of these changes will bring them peace. But peace does not come from changing your environment. It comes from changing your awareness. You cannot escape yourself no matter how fast or far you run. Sooner or later, life will bring you back to yourself. And when it does, you'll either meet a stranger or a warrior who knows who he is. That is why the inward journey is not a luxury. It is the beginning of all mastery. Before you build a business, build discipline. Before you lead others, lead your own thoughts. Before you speak your truth, spend time listening to your own silence. These are the invisible roots of greatness. The world may not see them, but they will feel the strength in everything you touch. No one can give you this strength. It must be forged slowly from the inside out. So when you are tempted to seek results too quickly, pause. Ask yourself, am I building from a place of alignment or from a place of emptiness? Am I growing because I am rooted in clarity or because I fear being left behind? If the foundation is not stable, even the most beautiful house will collapse. The same applies to your dreams. Begin within. Sit with yourself. Study your thoughts. Strengthen your roots. And let the outer world adjust itself to the strength you've cultivated in silence. Comparison weakens focus. The mind is like a still lake. When undisturbed, it reflects reality with clarity. But the moment comparison enters, it is as if stones are thrown into the water. The reflection becomes distorted. You can no longer see yourself clearly. You begin to measure your progress against others, forgetting that each life unfolds according to its own rhythm, its own time. Comparison shifts your gaze outward, pulling your energy away from the one place it truly belongs, within. When you compare yourself to others, you abandon your own path. You begin to walk in the shadow of someone else's journey. You forget that they, too, have struggles you cannot see, battles they do not show. What appears as success may have cost them more than you're willing to pay. What looks like confidence could be hiding deep insecurities. When you allow your worth to be defined by another person's timeline or achievements, you give away your power. You lose sight of what you were meant to become. Focus, by its nature, requires stillness. It asks you to narrow your vision, to aim all your energy in one direction. But comparison creates noise. It makes you scatter your attention, questioning your abilities, doubting your choices, adjusting your pace based on someone else's speed. You cannot run your best race while constantly looking sideways. Every time you break your focus to observe others, you delay your own progress. And slowly, you forget why you started. There is a subtle poison in comparison. It disguises itself as motivation. You think you are inspired, but in truth, you are distracted. Real motivation comes from within. It is born from purpose, not pressure. If your fire is lit only by what others are doing, it will flicker the moment they disappear from view. Instead of comparing, observe. Instead of imitating, align. Instead of rushing, return to your breath. Let your actions be guided not by competition, but by conviction. You must learn to protect your focus like a flame in the wind. Every time you feel the urge to compare, bring yourself back to the present. Ask, is this helping me move forward, or is it slowing me down? The more you train your mind to stay centered on your own process, the more powerful your growth becomes. Not because you are better than others, but because you are no longer wasting energy trying to be them. Focus is not just what you look at. It is also what you are willing to ignore. Discipline is not selfish. It's sacred. In a world that constantly demands your attention, choosing to prioritize your inner growth may seem like detachment. But there is a difference between selfishness and self-respect. Discipline is not about shutting others out. It is about tuning yourself in. It is the art of saying no, not out of rejection, but out of reverence for your time, your energy, your purpose. When you commit to discipline, you are not isolating yourself. You are honoring the deeper calling within you that says, this path matters. Discipline creates order where there would otherwise be chaos. It is the quiet force that turns distraction into direction. Without it, the mind becomes restless, reactive, easily pulled by emotion and impulse. But through discipline, you begin to gain control, not of the world around you, but of your responses to it. You begin to choose what you feed your mind, where you place your energy, and how you show up daily. That kind of control is not selfish. It is sacred stewardship of your own life. Many people misunderstand discipline. They see it as rigid, cold, even unnatural. But discipline is not punishment. It is devotion. It is what allows you to protect your potential from being diluted by the noise of the world. It requires structure, yes, but it is not void of heart. True discipline flows from understanding what is important and giving it the consistency it deserves. To live without it is to be in a constant state of reaction. To live with it is to walk your path with intention. When you are disciplined, you don't need to explain yourself. Your presence speaks. People may not understand why you wake up early, why you train alone, why you say no to things that others chase, but you're not here to be understood. You're here to become something real, something rooted, something rare. That journey cannot be shared with everyone. Discipline becomes your silent companion, guiding you not toward comfort, but toward inner strength that endures. You will find that the more you honor your discipline, the more you align with what truly matters. The noise begins to fade. The confusion becomes clarity, and you realize that this commitment to yourself is not separation. It is preparation. You are not distancing yourself from people. You are drawing closer to the version of yourself that can serve the world in a way that is meaningful and stable. Sacred things are not meant to be loud. They are meant to be consistent, humble, and enduring. That is the nature of real discipline. Mastery is forged in silence. In a world addicted to noise, movement, and constant validation, The idea of growing in silence may seem outdated, but silence is not emptiness. It is space. Space for discipline to deepen, for awareness to sharpen, for self to emerge. The loudest transformations often fade quickly, but the silent ones, the ones built patiently, layer by layer, without applause, those are the ones that endure. True mastery is not a performance. It is a process that unfolds far from the spotlight. When you commit to something deeply, be it a craft, a mindset, or a mission, there will come a time when no one is watching. No likes, no followers, no praise, just you and the work. And this is where most people stop, because silence feels lonely, because without external validation, they question their path. But those who understand the rhythm of mastery do not fear this quiet. They welcome it, because they know that this is where alignment begins. In silence, there is nothing left to prove, only something to refine. Think of the monk, the sculptor, the martial artist. Their greatest breakthroughs don't happen on stages. They happen in repetition, in stillness, in solitude. The sharpening of the blade is never loud. The building of strength is rarely seen. And yet, when the moment comes to act, to lead, to stand, those forged in silence carry a presence that cannot be taught. It is not volume that makes them powerful. It is the weight of their inner preparation. Modern culture often encourages visibility over depth, but mastery resists this temptation. It doesn't rush to be seen. It waits until it is ready. There is a quiet confidence that grows when you do the work no one applauds. Day after day, set after set, word after word, not for recognition, but because it is who you are becoming. In this silence, you do not just practice the craft, you are transformed by it. You start to realize that you're not performing the discipline, you are becoming it. And so, the silence becomes sacred, a space where comparison dies, where clarity emerges, and where self-respect is built through action, not announcement. You do not need to show the world your progress at every step. You do not need to speak of what you are building. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Your silence is not weakness. It is your crucible. The louder the world becomes, the more valuable your quiet discipline becomes. Mastery does not shout. It whispers until one day it speaks without needing to say a word. Every distraction delays your destiny. Your time and energy are not infinite, yet they are spent freely, often without thought, often without return. Distractions may seem harmless in the moment, even comforting. A short scroll, a casual conversation, a task that doesn't belong to your purpose. But over time, these moments compound. They blur your focus, they fragment your attention. And before you even realize it, you've drifted miles away from where you were meant to be. Not because you lacked talent or purpose, but because you allowed noise to fill the space where discipline should have lived. Distractions are not always loud. Sometimes they wear the disguise of productivity. Things that feel urgent but are not important. Tasks that keep you busy but not aligned. People who demand your presence but do not support your growth. The danger lies in their subtlety. You believe you're moving forward when in truth, you're just circling the same path. To reach your destiny, you must develop the ability to distinguish between movement and progress, between activity and alignment. Focus is not something you find, it is something you protect. And to protect it, you must learn the art of conscious rejection. Rejection of the unnecessary. Rejection of the non-essential. Rejection of the convenient distractions that offer temporary relief but lead you away from your deeper purpose. Each distraction may seem small, but they pull you off course like the current pulls a boat. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, gradually, until one day you look up and you don't recognize your surroundings anymore. There is a cost to every interruption, and the currency is your future. With every moment given to something that does not serve your path, you delay the version of yourself that could have been. You delay the book not written, the body not trained, the skill not mastered, the peace not found. The world is full of people who are busy, but few who are becoming. Becoming takes intention, and intention demands that you say no to anything that steals from your purpose without returning something deeper in value. You must become a guardian of your own attention. Every time you choose depth over distraction, you sharpen your vision. Every time you resist the temptation to check, click, or compare, you are training your mind to stay with what matters. This is not always easy. It requires presence. It requires awareness. But most of all, it requires belief that your destiny is worth protecting, even from the small things, because your path is not just something you walk. It is something you defend moment by moment, thought by thought. The journey is not a race, yet many treat it like one, constantly measuring their progress against a clock that no one set, comparing themselves to others as if life were a competition with limited rewards. But there is no medal for arriving first at a destination you don't understand. What matters is not how quickly you move, but how deeply you walk. The ones who rush often miss the meaning in the process. The ones who slow down, who pay attention, who walk with intention, they are the ones who are truly moving forward. Speed can create the illusion of progress, but direction is what gives it purpose. Without clear direction, you may be running fast, but in circles. So many people chase goals they never questioned, pursuing lives that were never theirs to begin with. Why? Because they saw someone else do it faster. They saw someone win more loudly. But your path is not theirs. Your lessons, your timing, your challenges, these are uniquely designed for your growth. And rushing only postpones the wisdom that can only come with patience. There is strength in moving slowly when the world demands urgency. It means you are choosing to honor the quality of the journey over the quantity of achievements. That is the number R, not skipping steps just to arrive at a moment sooner. You are learning to breathe in each phase, to feel each discomfort, to grow through each season. This kind of journey shapes you, not just externally, but inwardly. You become someone who knows how to move without panic, how to endure without applause, how to progress without comparison. There is a kind of peace that lives in the one who is no longer in a hurry. This peace is not laziness, it is presence. You begin to see that every step matters, even the quiet ones, even the setbacks. You stop resenting delay and start respecting timing, because timing is not just about events lining up. It's about you being ready to meet them. And readiness cannot be rushed. It is forged in repetition, reflection, and restraint. The slower the fire burns, the more deeply it transforms. Let others rush. Let them sprint and stumble and shout. Your path is your own. And when you stop treating your life like a race, you begin to live it with more awareness. You begin to hear what the silence is teaching. You begin to move not because of pressure, but because of purpose. And that kind of movement creates endurance. That kind of journey builds character. Because it is not the finish line that defines you. It is how you choose to walk when no one is watching and there is no clock ticking, the true enemy is within. It is not the competition, not the doubters, not even the circumstances that slow you down. What blocks you most is often the part of yourself that hesitates, that questions, that fears. This internal resistance doesn't announce itself with a loud voice. It whispers in moments of weakness. It tells you to wait a little longer. It convinces you that you're not ready. It paints pictures of failure before you even begin. And if you are not vigilant, it will quietly steal your potential, one excuse at a time. The mind is powerful. It can be your greatest ally or your most persistent saboteur. Most people think they are fighting the world, but they are really fighting their own thoughts. Insecurity, doubt, laziness, fear of judgment. These are not external forces. They are born and fed within. And if left unchecked, they grow stronger. The more attention you give them, the more control they take. So, while you prepare for outer challenges, never forget to guard your inner world. That is where the real battle begins. This internal enemy is cunning because it often wears your voice. It uses your own logic, your own memories, your own insecurities to argue against your growth. It will remind you of past failures, highlight your flaws, and cast shadows on your dreams. But you must learn to see through its disguise, not by denying it, but by facing it, by watching it with calm awareness. Once you can observe your inner resistance without being consumed by it, you take back control. You become the master of your mind, not its prisoner. Growth requires confrontation, not with others, but with yourself. You must confront your excuses, your avoidance, your need for comfort. You must ask difficult questions and answer them with honesty. Why am I delaying? Why do I fear discomfort? Why do I sabotage progress when it's within reach? These questions are not meant to punish. They are meant to reveal. Because once the enemy is exposed, it loses its strength. Darkness fades when brought into the light of awareness. This is why silence and solitude are so powerful. They remove distractions, forcing you to face what is really going on inside. They reveal the mental patterns that keep you stuck. The world outside may test your endurance, but it is the world within that decides whether you rise or fall. And when you begin to tame that world, not by force, but with understanding, you discover something powerful, that the enemy was never there to defeat you. It was there to show you what still needs to be strengthened. Winning is internal first. Before the results show, before the recognition comes, before anyone believes in you, there must be a quiet shift within. A moment where you stop waiting to feel ready and instead begin to act with conviction. True victory is not measured by applause or trophies. It begins the day you decide that self-respect matters more than public approval. When your choices are no longer swayed by fear, when your actions align with your values regardless of the outcome, that is when you've already won. External success is fragile if it's not built on internal stability. Many people appear to win financially, socially, professionally, but inside they are exhausted, anxious, or directionless because they chased a finish line without building a foundation. And without inner alignment, outer rewards become empty. You can impress the world and still feel inadequate. You can gather achievements and still feel lost. That is why real winning starts with knowing who you are and standing firm in it, even when no one is watching. There is a victory in waking up early, not because someone told you to, but because you made a promise to yourself and kept it. There is power in choosing silence over reaction, discipline over distraction, growth over comfort. These small inner wins often go unnoticed by the world, but they compound. Each one builds resilience, self-trust, and inner strength. And these are the traits that last when the crowd goes quiet, when things get hard, when no one is there to cheer you on. You cannot fake alignment with yourself. You either have it or you don't. And when you do, you begin to move differently. Not faster, but with certainty. You stop seeking validation because you no longer need it. You stop proving and you start becoming. Winning internally means being at peace with your direction, even if the path is still uncertain. It means choosing integrity over speed and purpose over popularity. These are not loud victories, but they are real, and they are what sustain you when outer progress slows. Many chase milestones, but few realize that the most important ground to cover is the distance between who they are and who they pretend to be. That gap must be closed from the inside. And the moment it is, the moment you no longer need to perform for the world, you are free, not free from struggle, but free from the constant need to chase something outside of yourself to feel worthy. That is where real winning begins. Quiet, rooted, unshakable.